Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It is Thursday, March 21st, 2013. Here's a quick look at what's coming up.
Tonight on the InfoWars Nightly News, just call it what it is. Monsanto's Protection Act proves that we are under the boot of a full-blown corporatocracy. Plus, Big Sis buys up billions of rounds of ammo, yet has no comment. Then,
completely crazy.
InfoWars gets a surprising earful on the nature of conspiracy theories from the public at large.
There's a little bit too much going on. I don't think we got enough info. A lot of things that really just don't match up or add up.
All that and more on the InfoWars Nightly News.
Well, it's being called the Monsanto Protection Act, and it would allow Monsanto Corporation to have complete immunity from the federal courts should anyone dare to try to stop them from planting GMO crops suspected of endangering the public or the environment. For example, let's say it were discovered that one of Monsanto's GMO bananas or apples promoted cancer. The federal courts wouldn't be able to do anything about it, and Monsanto could simply continue to plant the GMO frankenfood. And I know it sounds insane, but somehow the Monsanto lobbyists have managed to persuade legislators to include language in a bill, and this could pass as early as next week, by the way, that will put Monsanto Corporation above the federal government. Total immunity from the federal courts. How scary is that? Food Democracy Now! Has launched a petition to try to block the bill, explaining the Monsanto Protection Act would strip judges of their constitutional mandate to protect consumer rights and the environment while opening up the floodgates for the planting of untested, genetically engineered crops, thus making Monsanto Corporation literally more powerful than the federal courts in their never-ending conquest to monopolize the entire food chain. Now, we do know that, government agencies like the FDA go to great lengths to cover up the potential health damage from genetically modified foods and to keep customers in the dark about what they are really eating. Remember, genetically modified foods, engineered foods, they have been linked to all kinds of diseases like obesity. They're connected to cancer. They're also linked to liver failure, infertility, and all sorts of other diseases. And things are about to get a lot worse, perhaps as early as next week, unless we all stand up and say no. Washington Blog is also reporting on the Monsanto Protection Act. They explain it as a law that has been snuck into the Agriculture Appropriations Bill, which will be approved by March 27th. Doesn't give us much time. And it would destroy the separation of powers by stripping courts of the power to challenge genetically modified foods. The Monsanto rider, Section 735, uses farmer-friendly happy talk, but is an iron-fisted ploy to allow GMO crops to be planted even if a court has ruled that planting them is illegal. And the Weston Price Foundation says if a GMO crop approval was shown to violate the law and require further analysis of its harmful impacts, as several courts have concluded in recent years, for example, with GMO alfalfa and GMO sugar beets, this provision would override any court-mandated caution and allow continued planting and commercialization. And there is a good summary of the bill posted right now on the Washington Blog website. Now, there has been an amendment that has been introduced to kill the Monsanto Protection Act, but it is up to you to get your senators to support it. Now, it is called Amendment 74 to the Agriculture Appropriations Bill, introduced by Senator Tester. Now, look, it is up to you. We've got about 1 week to stop this thing, and it's up to all of you. Help us out. Try to stop this thing. Join us in the fight to stop GMO. There's more details about all this. You can find it at Infowars.com. And look, we cannot allow Monsanto Corporation to be above the law. Not a good idea. Now, look, there is some good news. We have learned that genetically modified salmon has been rejected. It's been rejected by Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Aldi, and other food retailers. This from our good friend Mike Adams at Natural News. And yet another blow to GMOs. Several major U.S. food retailers have signed on to the campaign for GE-free seafood. It is the latest private sector blow to the deceptive biotech industry. We all know that consumers overwhelmingly reject GMOs, even if the FDA conspires with biotech companies to try to shove genetically engineered food down our throats. But now, because of the constant grassroots pressure by our listeners, organizations like Natural News, we are finally able to convince food retailers to either label GMOs or reject them outright. And naturally, the mainstream media is trying to downplay all this. The truth will not be televised. And, they don't want you to know that there is a tremendous uprising going on right now by the people against GMOs. And, the establishment media, they have a long history of attacking anyone who advocates GMO labeling, for example. They routinely deny the presence of GMOs in our foods, and they spread junk science and propaganda that favors the biotech industry. But they are losing the battle over GMO, my friends, and they are losing their audience at the same time. And that's because the mainstream media is declining, and at the same time, folks like Infowars.com, Natural News, we are skyrocketing. And, for obvious reasons, the mainstream media cannot be trusted, left or right. And, so keep the pressure on, folks. Sooner or later, we will force retailers to reject GMOs entirely. And remember, every victory against Monsanto is a victory for the future of life on our planet.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.